Normally injuries are taken as like a negative, but for me, like my injury really put things into perspective. Like I said before, coming into college, like you always want to show what you're made of, and I think I came in here a little bit too cocky almost. So like when my injury happened, it really like brought me back down to earth, and I was able to really change as a person thanks to that. That's about it though, cause like I can't really talk about like I have a lot to say in my head, but like I can't really talk about it because it's like I don't know. I probably would have transferred if that injury didn't happen, just because I was in such a bad place mentally. So after the injury, or when I got hurt, actually, at first, knee injury, you think ACL, especially as a soccer player, women's soccer player, they occur in higher amounts. So my first thought was my ACL. So when I had to come off, that was the first time I ever had to come off, like get assisted off the field ever in my whole career. So like it was scary. Um, so at first I thought my season was done, like one game and done. So when I got back, the trainers assessed and it was just an MCL injury. So after that, it was like a 6 week recovery. But during that recovery, it was very lonely. I just felt really alone. Like when like as soon as that injury happened, like I thought I was done. I couldn't really eat or sleep. Um, it was just a mess. It was a lot of isolation, cause like all I had was it was me and the training room, and that was a lot of hours were spent in the athletic training room and doing work by myself to get back to something that I never really knew if I would return to like 100% again. There are definitely some thoughts that I was never gonna play like the same, because goalkeeper as a position you're very explosive. Like you're using your legs a lot. Like there are a lot of one-legged isolated movements. So I had a few setbacks where I didn't get cleared in the deadline that I thought I was supposed to. So that was also very rough. Obviously, when I returned to play, like our season didn't really go as we hoped, and I only played like 6 of the remaining games. So when I had my exit meeting with the coaches, like I told them like I was gonna come in prepared and like come in better. Like they hadn't seen everything that I could do yet, so I was really looking forward to my sophomore year. My sophomore season, I had something to prove. I told the coaches in my exit meeting that like they haven't seen like anything yet. So like my the preseason going into my sophomore year, like I spent a lot of time, getting into shape, a lot of time playing. So like I was ready to go. That season was difficult because or that preseason was difficult because I always thought that like all it takes is one hit again to mess that up. Like my knee will never be the same as it was before. So like that was always in the back of my mind, but like we just kept going. It's hard to keep a positive mindset when you're always losing. So like when that happened, we all were like in such a bad headspace that to go on to like the next conference games was challenging. So ultimately, like the season turned when we played Rutgers Camden. We beat them for the first time in a long time. So when we won that, like that was like where the season started to turn for the better. So after Camden, we played Willie P, and we tied them. And obviously, I didn't have. I thought that I really didn't play that well, so I had to look into the future for the next game, which was Kane. So we needed Kane. We need to win against Kane in order to keep our playoff hopes alive. In the Kane game, in the second half, the ref awarded Kane two penalty kicks. One, there was like 15 minutes left in the game, and we were still winning 3-0. And I saved the first one, so we were still sitting in a good spot. And then with like a minute 40 left in the game, it was tied. It was 3-2 us. and we needed all 3 points against Kane to continue in um, our playoff hopes. So I was lucky enough to save the second penalty kick with 1:40 left. So we ultimately held on, and we got to go to the playoffs this year. So without that game, I felt like that was like my best game of the year. That was the game where I ultimately played a role in deciding whether or not we were gonna win or tie. So like that, like as a goalie, you don't get to score the goals. You get to prevent the other team from scoring. So that was the only opportunity that I had to feel like I did something that was very rewarding. So after the Kane game, obviously we're going in strong to our final few games of the season. The next game was Rutgers Newark, and we obviously needed the points to continue trying to be a playoff team. So during the Newark game, I conceded a penalty. Like they scored on me. I guess the right way, but they scored, and it was just unfortunate like that happened. But we ultimately ended up winning, and then we got to host the playoff game here.
Everyone else, including Michelle Terrace, is forward. This could be either or, a shot or a cross. We'll find out. Alvarenga, it's looping to the back post. Zemersky! Samantha Zemersky puts the Gothic Knights in front 1-0.
That game was personal because the school went all out with the environment. Like it was just like such a cool environment to be a part of, and to go from a losing season the year before to being in the playoffs for the first time in 10 years.
The countdown begins. Send it to the box, an offside flag up, and the Gotham Knights will win their first ever postseason game in program history. Samantha Zemersky, the senior midfielder transfer from Rutgers Newark, helps her team see another day.
When we hosted the Camden game, it was the first time in school history that, for women's soccer anyway, that we got to host the NJAC playoff game. Just the year prior, preseason, freshman year, I was looking to transfer just because I didn't feel like I fit in here very much. And then you jump forward a year, we got to host the playoff game for the first time ever in school history. So it was just the change like that we went through as a team was like very good. See, I can't talk about myself like that because it's always like team like. Because like I told you, like when I think back on it, I didn't do much except for that Kane game. Like I'm telling you, like I didn't play such a good role in that except for that Kane game. Unfortunately, we lost like our semifinal game against Rowan. It was a good experience, but like we wanted to obviously go further, but we also went the furthest we ever did in school history, so it was good in that sense. That game I could have played better, but in the locker room beforehand, I was told that I had been awarded goalkeeper of the year for the NJAC, the whole conference. So obviously going from not playing my full freshman year to being named goalkeeper of the year sophomore year is such like a huge achievement for me. Like I don't like to take credit for a lot of stuff, but I'll take credit for that, I guess. So like that game obviously didn't turn out as well as we hoped it did, but like that season like made such an impact on me because I went from thinking of leaving 2 days into my freshman season to staying here for my 4 years at NJCU, and like it's just such an honor to be part of like a good team, and yeah. Does it have to be about my injury? Because I feel like that's implied.
No, I mean it's mainly like a comeback story,
You could put up all my achievements on a little closing credentials thing off my little resume. Cause I got like first team All NJAC, goalkeeper of the year, defensive player of the week twice, You know, I got named ECAC all tournament team and nobody told me, and I had to look it up. So, and then I made all district, which was nice. So, little slide at the end.